Hey guys, Aina here from GolfPosturePOD. We're going to talk some feelings and kind of thoughts and movement patterns with your golf posture pod. So we're going to go kind of like in a step-by-step pattern. So we'll think about backswing first, or talk about backswing first. So with most amateur golfers, the two basic swing faults in the backswing would be kind of a slide or a sway away from the target, or typically a stand-up, where the hips kind of move up to the target line and the spine backs up. With your tour player or your low single-digit golfers, they tend to stay in posture better, obviously. So the right hip will tend to kind of move back into the pad, so the pad will move back and away from the target line slightly. So this crease in the pants, they'll kind of sit into it, increase the crease in their golf pants. Right pocket works back into the pad, and the pad kind of moves back and away from the target line just slightly. So if I were to stand up, the pad moves towards the target line, I've come out of posture. So the tour players are really consistent on doing this, extremely consistent on how well they kind of effectively load their backside or trail side leg on every swing. Amateurs have a lot of inconsistency. So I would start with this and focus on this initially. So wind up, stay in your posture. Let your pelvis freely rotate. Your left butt cheek is going to come off the pad. Your right butt cheek kind of pushes back into the pad slightly, so the pad moves back and away from the target line. I'm getting good trunk rotation. That's going to be my feel. The exaggerated feel would be this. So it's worth to feel that. Kind of get into the extreme position. So that would be one exaggeration. The exaggeration of the opposite end would be to completely stand up. So we're looking for like a middle ground there. So you're going to wind up, pushing into the ground, get some pressure into your right leg into the ground. Right hip pushes back into the pad, just slightly. So the pad moves back and away from the target line just a little bit. So that would be a backswing sensation or a backswing feel. And that might be hard initially, so spend some time on that. Don't jump ahead to the next step without getting a pretty good handle on that step. So on your transition of forward swing side, so I'll wind up at the top of my backswing. Now my transition move is going to be slight little pressure into my front leg. I might gain a little bit more kind of flexion in my trunk and my knees and my hips. Now I've got quite a bit of pressure into my left leg into the ground. My left leg now is going to start to straighten up. The straightening action helps to push my pelvis back into the pad on the forward swing side. So the pad moves back and away from the target line. And my pelvis starts to turn the corner as I start to come into impact and kind of get into that post-impact look. So I'm pressuring into my left leg. My left leg is pushing into the ground, pushing away from the target line, in fact, to drive the pelvis back into the pad and to straighten out that left leg. The amateur move tends to be this, where we stand up. We move up towards the target line, so we lose a lot of the rotational speed in the hips and the pelvis, lose a lot of the rotational speed in the torso. The tour player gains the rotational speed in their pelvis and in their torso and come into impact. So that would be, so your backswing feel, wind up, feel like your hip moves back into the pad. The transition move, you might feel like you gain a little bit more flex on the downswing. This would be the bad move, where the hips drive up to the target. I'm moving slightly along the pad, so the pad's not moving towards the target. Then I'm pressing into the ground. My left leg starts to straighten. It helps to drive the pad back away from me. So those would be some sensations and thoughts to get a start on. Take this step by step. No golf club initially. Just get a feel for how the body should move. Start slow, and you can add some speed to it over time. So if you add in a club and add speed too early, the movement pattern is just going to break down. So take your time, take it slow. It's going to be a process.